From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief technologist at Stunning Digital Marketing. And today I have Mr. Ryan Waterbury with me, and we're going to talk all about the agency in review for 2025. Sit back, relax, enjoy the conversation that Ryan and I. The SDM Show is brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, the digital marketing concierge that helps you put all your marketing pieces together. We are your marketing experts. We are also your WordPress security experts and know how to lock down a website and protect yourself from bad actors. So contact us at Stunning Digital Marketing today. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. And today on the SDM Show, I'm my good and monthly co-host, Mr. Ryan Waterbury. Welcome to the pod, Ryan. How are you, man?
I am doing great. We have snow. It's not super cold. The office staff is mellow mostly.
Yeah. We have snow in Toronto at this time, and as you know, my wife is in a whirlwind right now, but that's okay because the good news is this week I'm going back to releasing twice a week episodes. I've managed to find some time, yay, in amongst life and clients and everything else, so it's good. I swear, you and I have talked about this before. I need to start recording the conversations we have before the conversation because we're going to do a bit of a year in review episode today because there's been a lot going on this year. And but we were just both bitching about support. And I'm going to say one of the good reasons to look at Ryan or myself for, care packages, security care packages, which I specialize in even more niche down, is we provide our customers with really good support.
I was looking at my own support earlier this year after I felt that I was just doing a horrible job, and I got some really awful support. Like days had gone on with a critical issue that I needed help with. I solved it on my own, but the fact that I was paying for support and didn't get it when I needed it, and it was from a company and a service that's been highly lauded, and a lot of people like it. And just because the service is popular doesn't mean you're going to get good support. It might work great most of the time, but when you need it to, does it? And do you get support? So this year has just been a difficult year for a lot of reasons, both personal and professional. And it every year I used to, take the time, do the due diligence, the last month of the year to look at what tech are we using, are our processes great? I started that process a lot earlier this year, and, revamping our services, figuring out is the agency on the right trajectory with AI. And, one of the real big kickers that I started out with was I need to really clamp down on our support. And you and I have talked about this both. I've struggled with getting our clients to use a ticketing system, and some of the good clients, the ones that want that they get support immediately when they put in a ticket, they're the great ones. But then you've got the other ones that make it difficult for us to provide support. And this is when we get a little out there on, did we really provide good support? And it comes back to it. Are they using the system? Are they providing, information?
Are they following the process that you've outlined for them? And as service providers, are we following our own process and forcing that process? Because that's what we've agreed to. And I finally, you talk about this, this. I went to an open source support system, not a WordPress one. Shoot me. It's worked really well. And I said for the first 3 months, anybody who emailed me directly, all I do is cut and paste it into a support email and a support ticket and do it for you. Now I'm not doing that. And I had somebody the other day email me a reflect, and I sent back an email saying, please go here and open up a ticket. But since when? And then I forwarded the email from 3 months ago that said, this is what I told you, and this is what you need to do. And I'm now at the point of view, in order for us to provide good support, or any service provider for that matter, I think you have to follow how they have requested when you signed up to do support. So some it's chat, some it's, I mean, in the digital space, not a lot of support is done over the phone. We all know that, right?
Hmm. Exactly. I, I saw, and this kind of comes back to something I saw the other day. One of my friends from college, he's a financial advisor. He does a really good newsletter on his own. And he's been doing that for years before
Mm,
AI. And he's done a pretty good job on marketing. And he asked a question on social media the other day. He said, hey, if I did a monthly podcast, on investing in retirement type topics, but would you be interested? I said, absolutely not. And I said, I do a monthly podcast with one of my colleagues, but it is one of the mediums that I get the least information out of when I'm done with it. And
yep.
so for me, I like blogs. You
Mhm.
and our friend Todd like podcasts, and other
I
people,
do.
like to watch videos. So you're right. You kind of have to take that into account with that.
Mhm.
People want support in different ways, and you have to be ready to provide some of those levels.
Yep.
The real
I
plus,
also, yeah.
I,
And then the
yeah,
other, and sorry, and then I wanted to shift gears a little bit. As I looked at this past year, especially in the WordPress space. And I'm not going to turn this political because we all know the politics in the community. We also know that the people raising the quorums is about 2% of the community of the total numbers. It's what I call all the inside people. And at the end of the day, 2% out of what is WordPress power? If you look at the last number, about
that
70
was
odd
like
percent of the
46.
internet. Yeah, 46. So that means 44% of people aren't saying anything, but that's typical. So take that number with a grain of salt, whether you like it or not. But where I wanted to touch on is we just went through an update last week, the first week of December. And as a long term technologist, updates in December are a bad idea because
I
you've got e-commerce stores, I've got e-commerce stores, it's retail season. So what I'd like to see as we kind of review the year, and I've said this every year for the last 3 years, and I'm really on it now, is we need to pull out the security updates out of the core updates and do them separately. What do you think?
I agree with that fully. And this release introduced a lot of things, like the abilities API was, a big
Yep.
one, and some other functionality, some core functionality. So it was about a week or two before Black Friday week, and plugin devs were still having problems with getting compatibility. And a lot of big popular ones that are widely used. Some from the Brainstorm Force group,
Yep.
some from other newer popular devs. They released a bunch of patch releases to get ready for compatibility and broke. Like nearly every ecom store I had, something broke with the updates to get ready for that. And this is before the biggest holiday shopping days of the year.
So so the issue is, and I said this to you in a Slack post, and you sarcastically answered me, I think,
Mhm.
is I blame WordPress for the timing. I don't blame WordPress for the breakage because these plugin devs had lots of time to deal with this. They knew this was coming. There was no secret here. So they sat on their hand because it's a busy time of year too. So that's why we need to move the updates. I don't blame WordPress for the breakage. I blame them for the time. There's a big difference here.
I think it's shared blame. Honestly, you shouldn't have
Yep.
the huge new functionality release. Granted, if you're not tapping into it, it shouldn't affect a
Mm.
lot, but it did. There were some core changes though with mail, and that's a big one that
Yep.
ruffled some feathers. Honestly, I think it was a good push the direction to do cleaner SMTP mail. But yeah, I mean, you've got plugin devs that have to jump through hoops when they're doing holiday marketing, and
Yep.
I and then you've got the core team trying to push things forward and move the ball forward in the days of AI where software gets developed at breakneck speed. I mean, it's just nuts. There's just new things happening every day.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's
I know.
tough. And the development speed, speaking of AI, just uh the security release, I think what is a good one to separate out because you've seen it, I've seen it. All the hacking attempts are just ridiculous.
Anyway, you beat me to those two magic letters. I was wondering how far we would get in a year in review show before we talked about AI. And
Yeah.
it's funny, I was gonna go there and you got there first. So let's go there. So what a big year for AI. Um ChatGPT celebrated its third year anniversary in the last couple of weeks, right? Just
Mhm.
happened. Um, we all know Gemini has leapfrogged, and I'm going to tell you, Gemini's gone mainstream. So I was sitting at a Christmas dinner with Tiz's niece, and Tiz's niece is looking at me, showing me photos, saying, "Have you seen all the realistic photos Gemini's doing right now of people?" And showing these to me, and the before and after photos on her smartphone
Mhm.
beside me
Yep.
at the dinner table. Yeah. So there's some of that going. AI is in a really interesting spot right now. I think it's the way that search engines used to be before Google dominated. There's all kinds of providers. And I think where this is going to shake out is at the end, ChatGPT is going to survive. They're too big, they have too many backers.
Mhm.
Gemini is going to survive. And then everybody else is going to go kind of in the middle somewhere. And somebody's going to argue and say, but what about Copilot? Well, Copilot's a derivative of ChatGPT. So let's
Mhm.
get off that right now. And I think that's the way it's going to shake out. It's also interesting to see the image quality coming out of AI. I did some marketing logos with AI with the right prompts recently, and I never touched a graphics tablet. And I have a Wacom tablet beside me, and I never once used it. Isn't it remarkable?
I That's pretty interesting. And there are different levels. And I
Yep.
think Todd had mentioned one in Slack the other day for, generating your assets. And I signed up for one just to test it a while ago, and it was absolute trash. It basically just
Yep.
took your prompt and dumped it into, some Canva templates and said, here you go. So you have that out there, but some of them are, I think we're getting to the point where some of them are actually getting good and useful,
Mhm.
where we're actually at the turning point of replacing staff and replacing other processes and how we do things.
Yeah.
And that's when I looked at, earlier on my services, my processes, and I said, is this going to be the trajectory that we need to go for the next 5 years? And that's why I changed things and rebuilt processes and said, uh, you know, I was pretty dev heavy after COVID because the niche that I was in was absolutely crushed. And so, that was kind of the trajectory of the business. But what has AI and the LLMs done to development? It's crushed it. And so it's opened up a nice tool where I don't have to add developers to staff, but it's also making development more of a commodity again, kind of like plugins did, for WordPress, that it
Yep.
commoditized development. And so you're going to see that the commoditization of development at a huge pace over the next year or two outside of the WordPress community. They're going to feel what we
Except,
felt with plugins.
except for one problem, and we have to establish this: commoditized development, and we're already seeing that a little bit with Squarespace and Wix and Weebly a little bit. Let's be fair. Commoditized development means exactly that. It doesn't mean you know how to develop a site that converts. It doesn't mean you know how to develop a secure site. We're seeing these sites, and this is a problem with the whole DIY environment. These people think pretty sites are great. They look nice, but if they're not generating leads, which go to sales, who cares? Like,
I,
honestly, who cares?
it was interesting. I was on a
Yep.
call with a web designer I work with, and I was overviewing a site that I had redesigned maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and one of my former lead gen clients and local SEO clients, and I just using them as a case study because what we've done with them, very clean site. There's not a lot of flashy, graphics and information. It's aesthetically pleasing. They're a home service provider,
Mm-hmm.
but the focus was they wanted more leads when they came to me and
Yep.
said, our
Yep.
site's not converting. And
Mm-hmm.
so we rebuilt the site. They were on a DIY builder, older style. I think it was from web.com, one of their site builders. But
Mm-hmm.
we had the focus of we're going to go from the ground up with an SEO focus and make sure that we structure the site to make it visible in the areas that you want to be in. We did one of our reviews this spring. We did one of the most common search queries that converts for him. He was in
Yep.
every single AI mention all the way down,
Yep.
ad at the top, and then all the organic results. He was in the top five for page number one. And he
Yep.
was tickled pink because what that means is when somebody comes to look for the core service that he's offering, nobody else is visible. He gets all the work. And
Yep.
customers, that's what they care about these days.
Yep.
They will spin up a site. They will go to Wix, Squarespace, or one of these AI builders and say, "Boom, here we go," and then it gets no traffic. And that's where I think where I'm shifting my agency is to
I
help
agree.
people get visibility again. That's what we did, and that's where our core was when I did
Mhm.
restaurant marketing until COVID crushed that. But
Yep.
it's relevant again because there's so much noise in the internet. You need to have someone that understands the best ways to stand out. And I think that's
Yep.
as digital professionals, that's where we're going to find our path going forward. Not
Hmm.
writing code, not building websites,
I agree.
but helping clients find visibility again. And it might be building a website. It might be developing, a chat bot or an app for them. That might be part of it, but the goal is get leads and get sales for your clients.
It might be developing even a podcast to
Mhm.
generate traffic. I mean, that's a good example. Um, I agree with it. So that talks about that a little bit. And then another thing on my mind as we look at the year is something recent in the year is businesses need to come up with a backup plan for their online offerings. And I'll tell you where I'm going. Cloudflare,
Mhm.
Azure, AWS have all gone down in the last 2 months. Cloudflare twice. AWS was the first one, then Azure. And those who don't know, Azure is what Teams runs on, Microsoft Teams. Many businesses run their phone systems, including my partners, through Teams. So, guess
Mhm.
what happens when Teams goes down? I get text messages saying, "Do you know anything my IT guys don't know today?" And I answer them and say, "Yeah, Azure's down. So you have phone system problems." And I won't tell you the language I get back, but it's like not printable. But
I,
the point I'm making is, as a business, you cannot stop cloud services from going down. There's really only five or six big cloud providers. Toss Oracle in. There's not that many worldwide. So there's
yeah.
some small ones, but they're not worth talking about. So the point I'm making is because of what's happened in light recently, and we've seen it with cell phone providers, we've seen it with internet providers going down in the last year. You need a backup plan.
You know what's interesting? One
What?
provider that big provider that you haven't mentioned that hasn't had an outage like that,
Who?
and they are interesting, and they haven't done we're going to have 85% of our new code developed for our cloud infrastructure, like Amazon. Google has not had an outage like that yet.
That is
And
true.
it's
Not this year.
interesting, not
Not
yet,
this year.
but
They
it's
have had
interesting.
outages in the past. They've had
They
email
have.
outages.
Hmm. But
Yep.
it's
Yep.
interesting. They are one of the AI providers that hasn't gone. They obviously they have, had some staff overturned, but they haven't done the massive turnover
Mhm.
of AI is going to run all our code.
No.
OpenAI, Microsoft have gone that way. Amazon has gone that way. I think they said that 85% of their new code is being developed by AI. And then,
Yep.
we see these outages where you you kind of get the feeling that it's not quite ready yet. And you're right, you do need a backup plan because if your entire business runs online and that's it, and you have an outage like Cloudflare, and that's in front of your website, and you're down for 10 hours on Cyber
Yep.
Monday with your
Yep.
Shopify site,
Oh,
that's a
Shopify
problem.
was down. Shopify was down across the board on Cyber Monday.
Hmm. Yeah, and that I'm kind of going that direction because outside outside influences can wreak havoc on your business, and whether it's electronic, and you're on somebody else's land, like with Shopify, the Cloudflare outage killed it.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of stores weren't available, couldn't make sales. That's a problem. But on the other hand, we have government regulation. One of the markets I serve is the cannabis market, particularly hemp cannabis. And, some recent regulation changes have crushed that.
Yep.
That's a third of my monthly marketing retainer work is
Mm.
in that niche because it's pretty difficult in particular on how you have to advertise that market.
Yeah, so
And
true. The
you know,
political market, the medical market, they're all in the same areas. If you sell guns in the US, even though they're legal, they fall into that. I'll tell you, having clients in it, the adult industry market, even if it's legal, like we're talking adult boutiques, there's a lot you can't say or do. There's all kinds of those markets out there.
Mhm. Exactly. And
Yeah.
and it takes a lot of time when you work in those markets to stay up on what's legal, what's not, what can you do, where can you
Mhm.
advertise, how can you get your message out when you have a great product. And then there again, I think those are great markets to be in. But you have to be aware that it could turn around pretty quickly. And you might not be in that market next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
true. Um, One last thing I wanted to touch on, and we're kind of going through some stuff that have happened this year. In the marketing space, I still truly believe email marketing is still relevant today as much more as 5 years ago. And it's from an investment perspective from the company, it's probably low cost investment, I would say, to do email marketing. Um, Often on your list, you have a lot of people who know you. So we always know it's easier to market to somebody you know than somebody you don't. Warm traffic is better than cold. Where do you sit on that right now?
I think email marketing is great. And, I'm a huge proponent of it. For my agency, I run a couple of our own uh, mail servers for sending. And
Mhm.
they've been up for 4 years now. Perfect score for sending. We have great reputation. And I did that because I've worked in the firearms industry. I've worked in the cannabis industry, and I've worked in the political industry where I think owning your data and marketing one-to-one, like you said,
Hmm.
directly to people that you've already worked with,
Yep.
that's one of the best ways to continue to do business. And in those special markets, sometimes that's the only way that you can reach out to your fans, because you can't do it on social media, or at least not the way that you want to. A lot of the paid advertising channels, they don't allow some of that content. So email marketing is one of the only avenues. And even if you aren't in one of those industries, it's fantastic for marketing. I know, when I purchase products and I haven't been to an online store in a while, they know that. They've got that programmed in their CRM to kick out an email that said, "Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Here's a 10% off coupon." Half the time, if it's something that I haven't purchased in a while that I use, I'm gonna go make a purchase.
So
And
I'll give you a better one. The flower company I ordered flowers from, if I don't check my card out in 20 minutes, it will send me a coupon for 15% off. And I have figured this out. So I gamify the system, do
oh,
my order,
sure.
let it sit in my cart for 30 minutes.
Oh, exactly. Abandoned cart emails, uh, email marketing and the
Mhm,
automation that you can do with once you have your list segmented, and when you're sending the right message to the right
mhm,
person,
mhm.
and now with hooking in AI models into your CRM to help you make better decisions and write copy, generate images, and send the right message at the right time to the right person. It's amazing. And once you have that person on your list, that's, in my opinion, it's one of the number one ways to market to a person.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. And, now that COVID's kind of over, you know what? I'll stand in line at the grocery store. I'm a consumer too, and so are you. And I'm bored, and I don't have social media on my smartphone. So what am I scrolling? My email. I'm catching up on email while I'm standing in line at the store. So there
Mhm.
it is right in front of me. And it's just absolutely amazing. Um, is there anything, as we kind of wrap up the show, we've touched on some stuff that have happened this year. Is there anything big you see happening next year besides AI? Like AI is going to be big. We
Uh,
know that.
yeah, so I think, yeah, that's part of where I'm going to go with the statement. But for me, I've been looking at hiring staff, but as AI's matured, I haven't added staff, and I've been able to, build better processes. I think next year we're going to see a shift in some of the labor markets and how things are
Yep.
done and how we
Yep.
do things, not just in the digital side. I think we're going to see some of the things that AI has been pushing spill over into, other non-digital markets, and
Yep.
you're going to start to see a little shift there
Yep.
economically. So I'm trying to prepare for that and help my clients prepare for that. Other than
Yep.
that,
I I would say we're going to see more and more security issues as more and more people jump online. It's getting to be a problem now. AI is part of that, but it's not. People are just lazy. As people get caught in these um, do it myself vibe coding modes and stuff like that, and the DIYers, they haven't figured out that they're not locking down their stuff. I'm seeing more and more cases of I did this website and it got hacked, and I'm like, yeah, because you didn't follow best practices. So that's a big part of that one going on right now, and stuff like that. So I think we're seeing some shifts. I think we're going to see more and more vendors going to e-commerce. I don't know about you, but I don't like malls to this day, so I avoid them like the plague, especially in December, right? So, you know,
right, it's hit or miss. From some consumers and some of the e-commerce clients that I have split with, both brick and mortar and online, it's 50-50. They've said that some clients like coming into the store and they like having that feel.
Yeah.
And some after, being forced to do online only for a while, that they are appreciating, being able to
Mm.
go in. But then, and this is demographically, that's the interesting part where the different generations and demographics are really shaping and
Yeah.
on how and where people are
Yeah.
shopping.
I think what we're seeing with shopping, and I don't know about you, I walked into a mall last week for the first time in a while. And I can remember as a kid growing up, and the malls didn't want you in the mall for 20 minutes. And now they're all giving you all kinds of reasons to hang around. They all want you to stay. It's just, it's a shift, right? And
Yeah, it's interesting, the curfews and the policing and patrolling for kids for so many years. And it shifts, it seems like every few years it swings back the other way. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's interesting. And I think the more so than ever, looking at your data and looking at what the different demographics are doing with your services and products is
Yeah.
is more important these days. I I've just been able to pick some things out that are more obvious now than have been in years past, which is interesting because
Yeah.
we had kind of the pixel block out after 2017 with the privacy push from Apple and GDPR. Now we're seeing richer data again. So that's kind of
We are.
a nice happy thing. The other good thing, the with GDPR, they're actually rolling back some of those things where they're saying, hey, we realize you need to collect some information that somebody did visit your site, and that's not an intrusion of privacy. So I
Mhm.
think there's some good things that are happening in the digital space from a regulatory perspective as well.
Yep. And without data as marketers thrive on data. And I'm going to say something I probably couldn't say on a marketing show, but I'm going anyway. I'm surprised the self-inclusive movement hasn't come after marketers, because marketers are the worst ones at segmenting their work than anybody else, right? So,
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's really interesting when you look at it. Hey Ryan, I
Yeah.
hope you and your family have an amazing holiday. Merry Christmas. I don't subscribe to the Happy Holidays crap, so I don't care. If somebody wants to shoot me, feel free, but this is Christmas time. To all my Jewish friends, Happy Hanukkah. Hanukkah's coming up really soon. Um, Folks, it is a Christmas tree, not a holiday tree. Get over it. And that's the end of that. So I hope you enjoy yourself. And we will be
Yeah.
doing more of these in the new year.
That sounds great. Have a happy holiday yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day, Ryan. Bye, everybody. This podcast has been brought to you by Stunning Digital Marketing, your digital marketing concierge to help the business owner put all his pieces together, whether it's email marketing, WordPress security, WordPress design and development, PPC, and more. Text Stunning Digital Marketing for all your digital marketing needs today. A very special thank you to Ryan Waterbury for joining me on this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much every day. My mother, Ann Cairns, who's still doing really well and is an inspiration. And of course, Tiz Maroney. And Tiz, I know I've said it, but thank you so much for all the inspiration you give me every day.